Hello and welcome to Stories, the True and the Fictional, the Indie Author Podcast supporting indie authors from all around the world. This episode is brought to you by Rebecca Kearsells of the Rising Dawn series and Martin Crumbs of the Valor of Valhalla series. You too can become a sponsor by heading on over to buymeacoffee.com/STTATF or follow the link in the show notes. And now, let's get into the show. Warning. Listening to this episode may cause your TBRs to grow in size. Hello guys, and welcome to a brand new episode of Stories, the True and the Fictional, the indie author podcast supporting indie authors from all around the world. I'm one of your hosts, Jay Braden. With me always is our resident reader, Ryan. How you going, Triple R?
Living the dream, man. Living the dream. I'm not going to talk about books because I've talked about books on the last few recorded episodes that we did in the last 24 hours. But I am going to say I am really enjoying. I played and finished Final Fantasy VII Remake, and I'm currently halfway through Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which I have not played because I got that around the time that I lost my leg, and I didn't have the mental prowess to get into it, but I'm about 50% through and absolutely loving it. Final Fantasy VII is one of my all-time favourite games, and the team behind it have done a great job with the remake. So, yeah, enjoying that.
Awesome. Can you guess what I've been playing?
Red Dead Redemption 2.
Yeah! I'm actually enjoying it this time.
Tell me, even if you didn't tell me last night, I would have guessed that.
Yeah. Look, I'm just slow playing until, because like, what's the word? When it's like you're living the game. It's like your immersion. That's the word I'm looking for. It's immersive, and I love it. And yeah. Anyway, we're not here to talk about Red Dead Redemption 2. We're here to talk to a guest, Douglas Smith. We had a great chat with him. He actually did some really good story pitch. I'm just going to say that. He did.
No, it's very good. I really liked the round 2, and I'm not going to spoil it for anyone, but that was amazing.
It was amazing, yeah. And Tim McKay, if you're listening, your Crazy Edition made it into this one, so stick around to the end for that, guys. But before we dive in, remember to check out our sponsors, Rebecca Kearsells, Martin Crumbs, our honorary sponsors, Janelle Schiecke and Alexander Robb. All the links are down below. Buy Ryan's new updated shirt. It is awesome. It is a great logo, even though at time of recording it's not 100% finished, but it's just waiting on the color, pretty much. And it looks fantastic.
It looks really good.
On the screen, you can see it. How good does it look? So yeah, guys, check that out. But yeah, Ryan, are you ready to talk to Douglas Smith?
I am ready to talk to Douglas Smith like I've already spoken to Douglas Smith, so that's how excited I am.
Yeah. All right, guys, let's dive right in. Douglas Smith, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me here.
Well, the question we always like to ask first is, who is Douglas Smith?
Well, just focus on the writing part. I'm a Canadian writer of science fiction, fantasy, and horror, and pretty much anything. Library Journal once called me one of the most original writers of speculative fiction in Canada. Don't know if that's true, but as you can see, I like to quote it. I've had 4 novels published, just put out my 3rd collection. I've got a writer's guide on marketing short fiction, and I'm going to have another writer's guide coming out in the fall. Yeah, I've won a bunch of awards and been doing this for almost 3 decades now.
Wow.
That's exciting.
That's great.
Whether that's good or bad, I don't know.
Well, you haven't stopped, so I'm going to say, It's either an addiction or it's something you love to do.
Yeah, it's a bit of both, and I'm really stubborn. So
That's great. Well, we're gonna dive into all about your books and writing and all
yeah.
of that stuff. But first, the thing our audience always love is our icebreaker question, so we get to know you. And what'll happen usually from that is people will buy your books before they even hear about your books because they got to know you. You know, that's it's marketing
I
101.
like that.
It's marketing 101. Ryan,
Unless they don't like my answers, right? So.
we'll see about that. Ryan's a pretty harsh judge, especially with the third question. But,
Yeah.
Oh,
but
okay. No, that should be good. I got a whole list, man.
yeah,
Okay,
that's great.
go.
Ryan, take it away.
No worries. Okay, so I'm going to set the scene for you, Douglas. We live in an almost perfect world. So there's no war. Everyone gets along. There's no cruelty to humans or animals. Everyone has exactly the same amount of money as everyone else at all times. Politicians actually do what they say and they're honest. So given that we live in this almost perfect world, what is something that you would like to get rid of? So, i.e., a pet peeve that drives you crazy and you would be much happier if it was gone from the world.
Okay, so my answer that I had prepared was getting rid of the entire current U.S. administration, but obviously they're already done.
Yeah.
Good job, guys. Wow, in a perfect world, what would I get rid of? Um, I don't know. My other answer was going to say whoever the Hulu executive was that canceled the upcoming Buffy renewal. Um,
Yep.
We'll
Get
take
rid of
that.
them.
We'll
you'll
take
take
that.
you'll take
Rid
that
of
one?
that.
Okay, all right.
I'm a massive Buffy fan. I'm even reading the comics currently as well, which continues on. And I
Where
was
are they?
heartbroken.
I've got one right
Heartbroken.
here. Honest, seriously, I got the whole set.
Yeah. And I heard that I heard that I think last week or the week before. And with me and my wife were both heartbroken because we're massive Buffy fans.
Likewise, yeah, just awful. I'm still hoping another network will pick it up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
not happy with
just
Hulu.
no. Well, it's hard for me because they're doing the remake of not the continuation of Scrubs on Hulu, which I've finished the latest episode, which was episode 7, and I'm actually really loving it. And then I heard that they cancelled the Buffy continuation, and I was like, it's I normally would boycott a network, but the new Scrubs is just really good.
Yeah, I'm kind of torn about Hulu now, but yeah, I a huge Buffy fan. Jumping ahead, we'll get down to your question number 3, but yeah, you won't be surprised when
I
that's
won't be
number 1 on my
surprised.
list. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, let's move
Love
to the
it.
second one. What's something on your bucket list?
I'm not sure how you Aussies will think about this, but one of the 4 of my favorite trips have been to New Zealand doing cycling tours there,
Oh,
and
Hmm?
I'm really hoping to be able to get back there and do at least one more. Um, Company that I used, um, their new manager is actually we did a cycling tour in Peru with my oldest son and my granddaughter, and we had this just great cycling tour guides, a husband and wife. He was a expat Yank, and he's an Aussie. And she has just taken over as manager of this company. So she said, "Look, if you're ever back, make sure you let me know you're coming, and I'll set you up with just a perfect tour." So I'm
Oh,
hoping I
awesome.
can still do that. Yeah.
New Zealand's a beautiful country. Me and my dad went back in 2012. We did a 3-week tour. We flew into Wellington, hired a car, and
Yeah.
drove all through the North Island, all the way up to Bay of Islands, and then all the way back down. It was such a beautiful country. Such a beautiful country.
Yeah.
And I can imagine you would see even more of it doing cycling tour, cycling
Yeah,
throughout.
so I've done lots of cycling tours, and I personally think it's the best way to see a place. You still get to another town within a day, but you get to see so much more than drive if you drive.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
All on the South Island. So
Okay.
if
Yep.
you're on
Yep.
the North Island, did you see Hobbit Town?
Yeah, I did. I did. We
Yeah,
went for a tour there. I had a feed and a beer in the Green Dragon Inn because they just
yeah,
started
yeah,
doing
yeah.
that. Got a really nice photo under the huge tree, and walked into Bilbo Baggins' house, which just is storage. It's like a little area. You open the door, tiny little area with a few boxes in there for storage. But I did go there, yeah. So I was lucky. My dad was a massive nerd like me, so we both got to do all of that.
Yeah, I was a huge fan of the books and the movies, so it was fun.
I was gonna say, man, you were almost the first guest to talk about New Zealand without mentioning Lord of the Rings, and then you.
Yeah.
Oh, the
Okay.
cycling tours, they'd point out to, that used to be where they had that, but they took it all down, and that used to
Yeah,
be where they did that, but they took it all down.
took it hell down.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's hard to
yeah,
imagine
beautiful.
New Zealand before the Lord of the Rings movies. I mean,
No,
they're
it's
true.
easy. Hercules.
Yeah, true. Kevin Sorbo.
Yeah,
Yeah,
literally almost all the crew from uh, Hercules went to work on Lord of the Rings, like straight from that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
There you go.
So Hercules and
Awesome.
Xena Warrior Princess.
Mhm. Yeah. All right. Well, question number 3, and
Oh,
Jamie's going to bring up a visual aid for this question. So I'm sure you're familiar with the good old Mount Rushmore, with 4 of the most, I guess,
yeah,
influential,
yeah.
famous presidents at the time. So, given that is Mount Rushmore of presidents, what would be on your Mount Rushmore of TV shows? Any genre, any era, just the top 4 TV shows in your opinion.
Well, definitely Buffy, obviously. I don't want to waste another few picks, but I loved Angel and Firefly as well.
hmm,
Um, so that's one. I'd probably put Peaky Blinders next.
nice. Yeah.
Oh, oh.
If I could just ignore the very final season because it was not good.
Well,
That's usually the way.
didn't they just bring out a movie on Netflix?
Yeah, yeah, and it,
Um,
it appeared briefly in local theaters here, but it's on Netflix, and we are kind of waiting for a good evening where we can sit down and watch it because the whole family loved the series. Um, that'd be number 2. Number 3 was a limited series. It's gonna be Netflix again. Um, not intentional, but one of my favorite books I've read over the last 10 years is The Queen's Gambit
All right.
by Walter Tevis. He had a lot of his books turned into movies. I didn't know him until I just happened to pick up that book, but he had The Hustler and Power of Money about pool, with ones with Paul Newman. He had Man Who Fell to Earth, been into a movie, and then The Queen's Gambit. And when I heard they were doing a series about it, I was really worried because I love the book so much.
Yeah.
And usually you end up being disappointed, right? But just a great adaptation. And the showrunner, writer, director was Scott Frank, and I was just really happy with the job he did on the adaptation, right down to keeping the dialogue from the book too. So
Wow.
yeah, that'd be my number 3. Um, and what else? Oh yeah, Ted Lasso.
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
Um, it was not a book or a book. It was not a series I expected to like, but oh
Yeah.
my God, so many feels. It was funny, but it was touching, and it
Yeah.
was heartfelt, and made you think. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
It's great.
Classic
Loved it.
Bill Lawrence.
Yeah.
I love Bill Lawrence because he does Scrubs as well and Shrinking, and everything he does is gold. Even the ones they don't renew for stupid reasons. Like he's had a few, um, series that have 1 or 2 seasons and it kind of, well, cancelled, whatever. But like he is really good at building an ensemble, a great
Yeah,
cast.
exactly. And they're all flawed people, but you care for all of them. Like they've all
Yeah,
got some aspect of them that is makes you want
yeah,
to root for them. Yeah.
yeah. Even
100%.
Jamie,
Okay,
tut
those
tut
are my
tut
four.
tut tut.
Even
Jamie,
Jamie.
tut 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 tut.
So there's a new show out called oh no, I forgot it. It's with Steve Carell.
Yeah, I saw
Yeah,
that.
Um,
roster, I think it's called.
Rooster, yeah. What do you
Yeah,
say,
yeah. 'Cause,
roster down there? Okay,
yeah,
yeah.
I thought it was roster, but I'm pretty sure you're right. I think it's Rooster.
Yeah, it's named after he's like a writer of sort of schlock uh, action hero books, and he ends
Yeah,
up getting this job at a fancy college. But it's really funny. Laughed as much at that as the Ted Lasso ones, and it's got some of the writers from Ted Lasso,
yeah,
and it's can't remember their names, but you'd probably recognize them.
yeah,
And it's also got the actor who played Jamie. He's in it too.
yeah. Well, I think
Yeah,
it's
I queued it up on the old HBO Max.
yeah,
Um, but it's just I'm actually rewatching Scrubs from the start as well. So that is on my to watch list. Anything Bill Lawrence does, I will
yeah.
watch.
Well,
Um,
he's a creator of it, so
Okay, good.
definitely,
So
yeah,
100%.
definitely the same feel
yeah,
as Ted Lasso.
yeah. He's
No,
really, you know, like I posted a post about the new Scrubs because I was a bit iffy about it at the start, and he replied to it. You know, so he's really involved and he listens to people and listens to the fans and um,
That's
it
cool.
just spun me out because I woke up to like 35,000 views and a conversation on my thread all about Bill Lawrence talking Scrubs. I was just like, okay, did I just go viral?
That's cool. That's good.
Yeah, cool. All right, so what's your zombie apocalypse plan?
Uh, I don't know. I was thinking zombies always seem, pretty happy. I mean, they never attack each other, so maybe the safest plan might be, just become a zombie and then they'll leave you alone. But yeah, barring that, I think get to an island somewhere. So
Hmm.
I'll reuse New Zealand. I thought they did a pretty good job of keeping a little bacteria of COVID out. So the virus of COVID. So you can probably keep
Yeah.
zombies out too.
So you just,
Or Iceland. Yeah, just get to an island.
oh yeah, Iceland would be nice. I've always wanted to
Yeah,
go, but
great
yeah,
place.
you can just knock off your bucket list as well with your zombie apocalypse. Go cycling around New Zealand.
Yeah, and avoid the zombies.
Avoid
Yeah.
the zombies.
If I'm on a bike, I can go a lot faster than
Yeah,
them too, if they
yeah,
do get in.
yeah. You just have to watch out for all the zombie sheep over there.
Oh, that would be scary.
Oh
Well,
God! All right. So the
sorry,
last
yeah,
question
that's
on
my
our,
zombie answer.
Yeah.
I think we had a lot of people, saying we did an interview last night with an Australian author, Liam Porter, and he said the same thing. He lives not far from an island called Fraser Island, and he said
Oh
he
yeah,
would grab
yeah.
his family on a boat and go over to Fraser Island and you know live his life over there. So I think
These
I think
islands are going to get pretty crowded though.
Yeah.
they will. I think
So,
they will. All right. Well, the final icebreaker question is: Dr. Emmett Brown leaves his DeLorean in your driveway. What, where, and when are you going?
well, normally probably 10 years ago, I would have said I'd like to jump, 20, 30, 40 years into the future and just see what things look like.
Hmm.
I don't think I want to see what things are going to look like that far in the future. Um, yeah, I'm not that positive about our future. Um, and I don't really want to go back any time in human history. Um, I mean, life was always worse. You know, uh, medical support was worse. Various diseases you could get were pretty rampant. So I think what I would do is I didn't check an epoch or an era or whatever, but I'd want to go back and see some dinosaurs.
Yeah,
So yeah,
I think
don't
I
ask
think
me where.
the,
Where
I just you can just come to Australia now and see a dinosaur. We got a cassowary. That's a dinosaur. It looks like a dinosaur. Crocodiles, they've been around a while. So
they have, and birds apparently, but yeah,
yeah,
I want to see big scary ones
big scary ones.
safely.
Safely from a from a flying DeLorean.
Yeah, yeah.
Just fly over the top. All right, nice.
nice, nice, excellent.
Well, the icebreakers are done. Now we're going to ask the wonderful question because me and Ryan are both comic book fans. We love comics. We love hearing about origin stories. So, what's your author origin story?
Um, I started. I'll step back a little bit. I mean, I'd always told myself I was gonna start writing someday, and one summer, Patrick came home from a family vacation, and one of the first things I read was that one of my favorite all-time authors, speculative fiction author, Roger Zelazny, the American writer, had passed away, and he was only like 56. It was a cancer of some sort. And I told myself then, or made myself realize that I'm not always going to have that someday. And I started writing that summer. I started with short fiction. Um, one, because it seemed easier that I'd be able to actually finish something and look at a finished product as opposed to, trying to dive in and write a novel to start with. Um, and I still recommend that to beginning writers to start with short stories. And I spent the first year just writing short stories and sending them out to markets and getting rejection letters because that's what you do. Um, but it was New Year's Eve of that first writing year, so I've been doing it for just over a year, and I got my first acceptance letter. So it was a great way to kind of finish that full year of writing and to start a new one. And then I just kept at it. Um, I probably did that for a little too long, just focusing on short stories. I was having success, but I always knew I wanted to move to novels. But it took me probably about 10 years before I got around to writing a novel. Um, and I just finished my fourth novel now. I'm working on my fifth. I'm about halfway through it. And then the advantage of having short stories, a big backlog of stories that you've sold, is that you can put out collections. So you
Yeah.
can get another book length title out there just by pulling your short stories together. And so yeah, so I just March 15th, my third collection came out. So that's kind of a rapid journey, but basically to start with short stories, um, sort of kick myself in the butt that I couldn't just wait forever to start writing, and
Mm.
then move to novel length stuff.
So, was there a specific
Awesome.
point where you like you had an idea for a novel? Like, because if you're writing all these short stories, are you thinking, "Oh, this will make a good short story. This will make a good short story"? But did you have one that just stood out to you?
Yeah, it was actually the very first story I wrote, which ended up being the very first story I sold. That was the New Year's Eve sale. Um, it was called Spirit Dance, and it is about a shapeshifter species. It's urban fantasy. It's
Oh,
in
nice.
modern time. Um, Shapeshifter species that the thing with them is their vitality as a species is linked to the vitality of their totem animals. So, like my main character in that story was of the wolf totem, but there's other animal totems, cat totems, bird totems, etc. And there's an underlying theme in all of the stories about environmental destruction and animal habitat protection, etc. So they tend to be environmental activists as well. Um, so
Hmm.
when I wrote that first story, I always knew that I wanted to come back to that character and that world. I actually wrote another two short stories in that universe, and then my first novel was again about the Heroka, and I integrated it with First Nations stories and beliefs. One of the main reasons was that their attitude towards the environment is the right one.
Mm.
Um, there's a great origin story of the world where Kichimanatu is starts by creating the heavens, the earth, and the sun. And the next thing he creates are the plant life, is the plant life, because it needs the sun, the earth, the rain, etc., to survive. And the next thing he creates is the plant eaters. And then the next thing he creates are the meat eaters, because the meat eaters need the plant eaters, who eat the plants, etc., etc. And the last thing he creates is are human beings. And the argument is that because we are the most dependent, we're actually the weakest of all the creations. We depend on everything. We depend on the meat eaters and the plant eaters and the plants and everything. I just love that flipping of the typical,
Mm.
Western society attitude towards humans being the top of the pyramid. Because if you accept that view of life, it automatically um, teaches respect for the earth and
Mm.
respect for nature and protection of the environment. So yeah, so that was my first novel, and I had First Nation readers on it. I spent some time in a northern Ontario town which had an Ojibwe First Nations, and I stayed there, interviewed the chief, interviewed her mother, um, went out for tours into the bush so I could get the actual habitat environment right. So it was a lot of research, but I was very concerned about getting it right because I
Yeah.
was talking about a different culture.
Yeah. We had someone who's been on a few times, Ben Schenkman. He's done he does urban fantasy, and he did a similar thing. I can't remember where he's from. He's definitely American. He's definitely American, but yeah, he went out and met some of the First Nations and got them to read his book and beta readers and stuff like that. And
Yeah, yeah,
it's cool. I love
Yeah,
that culture too, though. Sorry,
yeah.
Ron.
I think yeah. No, I was just saying, yeah, but because the book that Ben released was he did incorporate a lot of First Nation history and their way of life into that particular story. So I love it when people like yourself and Ben do that because it just feels so much more authentic because you've done the research, you've gotten all the information right from the source. It makes the story so much more enticing and so much more. I with Ben's books, I read Ben's I've read all of his books that he's released, and that book that we're talking about there is I couldn't put it down. I have to, it got to the stage at night where it's like, okay, I should be asleep now, but I need to keep reading because I do all my reading pretty much at night time, and I just find that you get so much more out of it, and you can tell how much research you guys have done, and it just makes it so much better.
And what was Ben's last name again?
Schenkman, like Schenkk, man.
Yeah, he's got he had the
I'll look it
first
up.
he bought a yeah, he had the trilogy which I have which is really good. It's called I'm just trying to find, I've got so many books on my Kindle.
Yeah,
It's
right.
not funny. It's called My Boss is the Devil or something like that, and he
Yeah.
literally finds out that he's working for the devil, and then it's part of a 3-book trilogy, which is absolutely amazing. I absolutely love those books.
Well, I'll look it up.
Yeah, no, he's
Thank you.
great. Um, so with like research, like how much do you do enough so you can tell the story, or do you go overboard?
For that first book, again, I was so there's an afterword to that book's called The Wolf at the End of the World. Um, and there's an afterword where I talk about the research I did, basically explain the amount that I did by saying that I was paranoid. I wanted to make sure I got it right.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, so I spent a couple of weeks at a Northern Ontario town, interviewing the chief, hiring a guide to go out into the bush, talking to other people on the reserve. Uh, got a tour of the OPP station and the inside of a jail cell. So I spent a lot of time, and I read probably it's in the bibliography is probably at least 60 books on Ojibwe culture, also Ojibwe stories, because a lot of the culture is passed originally as an oral storytelling tradition. Um, and as the elders age, obviously some of that is in danger of being lost.
Mm.
So you're getting more and more of them actually getting their stories put down in print form, so that will actually be preserved. So yeah, a lot of reading and some interesting discoveries, because one thing about oral storytelling is you might hear one version of the story and then someone else would give the same story, but it's going to be totally different because they're
Yeah,
going to change it. They're going to focus on the parts they like, and maybe they
yeah,
didn't like that original ending or something like
yeah,
that. So there's part of the Wolf book has to do with the not the Noah flood, but there's a flood in First Nations history,
yeah,
where the world is flooded, and Wasakijak is instrumental in bringing back humans onto that. And I kept reading different versions of it. And now
mm.
here's me paranoid about wanting to get it right. And
Yeah,
then it took me a while to realize, okay, that's that storyteller's version, and this other
yeah,
one is not any more or less valid, but it's just different.
yeah,
So I think that was somewhat freeing, as long as I could point to a text that I
yeah.
used. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I heard somewhere that every culture has a flood story, which is kind of pretty cool.
Yeah. 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 Just like every culture has shapeshifter legends.
Yeah, and Bigfoot. We have a Yowie over here, not Bigfoot. But,
A Yowie, not a Yeti.
yeah, no, it's a Yowie, and it has
A
it
Yowie.
it has its feet are like double jointed, so they can rotate their feet apparently. So you don't know if it's walking forwards or backwards.
I love that.
That's
Okay, I'm gonna look that up too.
that's I'm pretty sure that's from our First Nations stuff. We got some messed up mythology down here. Yeah. Um,
I love the stories.
yeah. Yeah. All right, look, you've got a lot of books, so I saw some because you've already spoken about it. I'm gonna bring up um 4 books in one of your series. You'll see it when it comes on the screen because some of these book covers I absolutely love. Um, Dreamflight looks phenomenal. Um, s-
So the what I did when I first started writing and I wanted to get into ebooks, so I just experiment with them.
mm,
I had an artist friend who very kindly gave me a great deal on ebook covers for short stories. So
yeah,
the 3 on the left are all short stories.
yeah,
They're all set in the Heroku universe, and then the one at the right, The Wolf at the End of the World, that's the
yeah,
novel I was talking about.
yeah,
It's based on Spirit Dance. But I'm planning, after I finish this current novel, I'm planning to do another novel in the Heroku universe, and
yeah.
it's going to feature the main character in Bird in the Hand and Dreamflight. who is a bird shapeshifter. So something different.
Nice. Nice. Oh, you got me intrigued. Um, any questions, Ryan?
So I was looking at the other quadrilogy that you had on your website today. The one that starts off with the Hollow Boys. Do
Yeah.
you want to tell us a little bit about that quadrilogy as well?
I'll bring it up.
Yeah, it's actually a trilogy, and then I put out a box set of the three
Okay.
books. So 3 books, and it's as I describe it, don't jump around. You've got to read them in order. So the Hollow Boys and the Crystal Key, and then the Lost Expedition. Um, so this is it sort of pays homage to 2 things I loved as a kid, and one was superhero comic books, and the other one was legends or stories of lost cities in the jungle. So I managed to take both of those and combine them into this series. Um, the Sort of the unusual thing that we start off with is my superhero. He can go anywhere in anybody's dream. So he's kind of all powerful when he's asleep. But when he's awake, he can't leave home. He has severe agoraphobia, and he can't go outside without severe panic attacks. And we sort of discover how he got that way, and the trilogy is about how he learns to deal with it. So he's my superhero, but he also happens to have become extremely rich because no one knows he's a real superhero, but he started a web comic which then grew about this superhero called the Dream Writer, and it grew and grew and grew. It just became viral, and he became very rich. So he's actually able to have a house which is a downtown skyscraper. So he lives inside, but he has like a restaurant floor and a museum floor and whatever. So he brings everything he needs inside, but he can't go outside. And then early in the book, he meets a street girl, a street teenager, and she's being chased by some bad people who are stealing street kids, kidnapping street kids. No one knows why. The police aren't doing anything about it. And she breaks into Will's, a hero, Will's tower, and meets up with him, and they eventually become friends and more than friends. But he starts by helping her find her brother, who wasn't so lucky and couldn't escape. So the 3 main characters in the trilogy are Will, the Dream Rider, Case, who is the street teenager, and her younger brother Fader. And as we learn, they have some strange powers of their own that lets them live on the streets. And you learn more and more about how all this came about over the course of the 3 books. But they're fun. The Hollow Boys won the Aurora Award and also the Juried Indie Author Project Award. And the Crystal Key and the Lost Expedition were both finalists for the Aurora. And they're all editors' pick from Book Life, if that means anything.
Awesome.
They're fun. They're just fun. And
They
they're
look
meant,
fun.
even though they sound like YA, but they're aimed at a crossover YA adult audience.
Yeah.
All my beta readers and my ARC readers were adults. And they all loved it.
This series really jumped out at me because I did buy the first one, the Hollow Boys, because I do all my reading on my tablet. I have my TBR list of about 170 books at the moment, but I do read 3 hours a night. I read for 3 hours every night, so I get through them. But I just keep buying more every time we do an interview, so it's never ending. It's a good problem to have. Too many books to read, but yeah, the story when I read the blurb about the Hollow Boys, about the whole Dreamwriter saga, I thought this is definitely my cup of tea. So I grabbed the first book, and no doubt I'll end up grabbing the other two once I finish the first book as well. So it sounds like a really, really interesting story. I'm looking forward to diving in and jumping into that world.
Oh, thanks for the interest. But I mean, the
No,
one thing that readers say about my books is one thing that they all love about them are the characters. So I described the story. I didn't spend a lot of time on the characters because they kind of live on the page, but I, my readers just fall in love with my characters and they want to see more and more and more. So if you keep reading, it's usually because you love spending time with these people.
Mm. So would you say it's character driven?
All of my stories are character driven.
Yeah.
Seriously, I'd be hard pressed to find one that wasn't. Short stories and novels. Um, if I don't know a character, well, if I don't have a character, I can't start writing.
Yeah.
If I get a character but I don't know them well enough, I can't start writing either. Um, that's one of the I mentioned I've got another writer's guide coming out, and it's on the craft side about how you
Mm.
build a story, and that's one of the things I emphasize is you really need to know your characters. Plot and ideas are fine, but it's not going to hold a reader.
Yeah.
They may want to keep turning the page just to find out what happens, but if you want them to be totally invested in your book and your
Yeah.
books and your writing, you have to give them characters that they love. They don't have to be perfect characters, but they have to be characters that the reader wants to spend time
Yeah.
with.
So do you when you build your characters, like before you start writing, how in depth is your character development, I guess? And once you start writing, do you build on that character, or you go, this is my character, and then you write?
No, I'm not a fan of, the character sheets that you can probably
Yeah.
download off of 100 sites, where what's their favorite color,
Yeah.
what do
Yeah.
they have for
Yeah.
breakfast, etc. I mean,
Yeah.
it's totally pointless.
Yeah.
What I probably should describe the way I write, and I don't use an outline. Even for that trilogy, there was no outline.
Mm.
Um,
okay.
I'll have an idea who my characters are very strongly. I'll talk about that a bit more, but I'll know. Okay, I'll use a metaphor. It was E.L. Doctorow. I love this analogy. He called writing a novel similar to driving across the desert at night. He said you can only see as far as your headlights
Mm.
illuminate that much of the road, but you can still drive across the entire desert though.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I use the same analogy. I'll write 3, 4, 5 chapters at a time, and if I'm happy with that, I'll probably spend too much time cleaning them up because I like to really feel confident in them.
Yeah.
But I'll have an idea of what the city on the far side of the desert is that I want to get to. I'll have an idea of a couple of stopping points. Sort of end of Act One, end of Act Two, the equivalent. But I really don't know how I'm going to get there, except in these 3, 4, 5 chapter chunks. And it can be scary because you don't know where you're going to end up.
Yeah.
But it's also fun, and that's how you discover things that you never would have thought of in an
Yeah.
outline. There's a writer friend I had, he passed away far too young, Jay Lake, who's a great U.S. American science fiction and fantasy writer. Um, he used to say a couple of things like writing without an outline and also trying to write fast is the way you get your conscious mind out of the way. Start to write from the subconscious. And that's where all the cool stuff comes from your subconscious. And, I may start a chapter thinking I'm going to be doing this in the chapter.
Yeah.
And then something will come up
Mm.
and, oh, nope, I'm going to do that instead. You stop and say, is this really going to fit in? As long as I can tell myself, I am confident I can make this fit in and it'll be
Yeah.
really cool, I'll keep going. I had my main villain for the villain's not accurate for her, but my main antagonist for Will and Case and Fader for the 3 books showed up in a scene. I think probably the 4th chapter in the Hollow Boys, and at that point I was just going to write it with these 2 other sort of minion types
Mm.
coming to kidnap the two of them. And I thought, they've already run into them before. This seems like the same. Anytime I feel like I'm doing something the reader's already seen, even though we're in a different situation, I want to try something different. And that character was born in the midst of that scene and is, quite frankly, one of my favorite characters in the whole trilogy. So you you learn stuff that you didn't know you were going to learn. I think it's more exciting. I think it's more interesting. I think the story you come up with is more imaginative. Um, the danger is that's why I sort of do the 3, 4, 5 chapters and do a checkpoint. Do I still feel like I'm on track? Um, the danger is that you can go off track. And
Yeah.
the end of the second book, I ended up rewriting the third act of that book almost entirely because I'd gone off track.
Yeah.
And the typical mistake I make is I tell too much. I
Yeah.
give away too much too early. So most of what I would have put in that scene ends up in very late in book 3. It's never a mistake to delay giving information to the reader as long as they're not confused.
Yeah.
They don't need to know everything, and they want to keep reading because they don't know everything.
Yeah. You gotta have a question hanging over their head, you know? It's just like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
like the classic TV series, you know, at least growing up, like the cliffhanger ending of every single episode. And you're like, what happens next?
But they'll come back.
Yeah, they will
They'll come
always
back
come
to
back.
watch.
That's
Yeah.
it. All right, so what are you working on now? What's your current project?
Well, I just launched the third collection, so last month or so I've been working on just promoting that and doing interviews like this. Um, I am working on my fifth novel, which is a near future post-apocalyptic science fiction novel that is based on another of my short stories. There's a story called Memories of the Dead Man, and it's based on the characters in that. And I sort of have another set of stories that are in this other universe, near future universe, where the Earth is now run by a giant corporation, evil, of course. And I have a number of stories set in that universe, and this novel is going to pull together characters from at least 3 of those stories and put them together for the first time. So yeah, it's fun. Um, I'm also working with an audio book narrator and producer to do an audio book edition of The Wolf at the End of the World. And I've gone through his first pass on that and gave him, I felt bad, but a whole list of 22 minutes and 3 seconds into here, this word is mispronounced, etc. So it's a long
Yeah.
effort to edit an audio book, but it's also a lot of work for him to produce it. So he's working on the fix up of that. And then I've got this writing craft book that's coming in September. It's already up for pre-order and it's going to be out in a story bundle in April. A bunch of other writing.
Excellent.
Those are the main things.
Yeah. So you're busy.
And the short stories here and there. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we had a great long-running Canadian science fiction magazine called On Spec, which published its last issue after, I think, 32 years, last issue in December. So there's a plan now to put out an annual anthology, and I was one of the what they called their anchor authors that was invited to contribute a story ahead of time to that anthology. So I spent like the last 3, 4 weeks writing that. So yeah, busy. There's always something, which is good, right?
Yeah, that's it. All right, we're gonna ask you a question, you know, to get some advice, and I think because you've been writing so long, we'll do the cliche question of what is some advice you would give your younger self when you first started writing?
Well, as my younger self, I'd say, yeah, you're right. Starting with short stories, good idea. The other advice I would have said, you should have started like, 10 years earlier.
Yeah.
I wish I hadn't waited that long. But having said that, I also think, my life experience to that point was probably a lot richer. So I think a lot of the stories and certainly the characters that I wrote about had more depth to them than a
Mm.
younger me would ever come up with. Um, but for your general writer out there who's just thinking about starting or wondering if they should get into it, my very strong advice, like as strong as I can make it, is start with short stories. Um,
Mhm.
there are so many reasons. I've got a book called Playing the Short Game. If you do get into it, it helps you market and sell your short stories. But and I break down why short fiction. But the main reason is that it's how you learn the craft
Yeah.
of writing fiction. The example I give is, you could sit down for your first writing project and do 100,000 word novel. Absolutely guarantee it's going to suck. Absolutely guarantee it. It will suck. Um, will you learn something from that? You probably will, hopefully. But if instead you wanted to write 100,000 words, but you did 20 5,000 word short stories, and if you tried something different with every short story, like, what I did, I tried urban fantasy, then I
Mm.
did high fantasy, then I did a tech-based science fiction story, then I did horror, then I did space exploration, first contact. I purposely, every time I sat down to write a story, I tried something new, whether it be genre or do a first person narrator, do third person limited point of view, just try something different.
Mm.
Unreliable narrator, multiple point of view characters in a short story, flashbacks, etc. You can build your writer's toolbox um, faster and learn more things with that 100,000 words of 20 short stories than you can with one bad novel.
Yeah.
That that would be my strongest
Yeah.
piece of advice.
It makes perfect sense, because we've spoken to far, far too many people who are going like, I started with a series, you know, and it's just like when you're starting out, you're going to get better, hopefully, when you ride along. So you're gonna, it's just the quality is gonna get better, and you're gonna go back and look at the first one. You're going like, ugh, what was this?
Yeah, I can say I'm still proud of my first novel. So
Yeah,
I would not want to have to apologize for my first novel. You hand it to someone and say, "Well, this is the first thing I ever wrote. I don't know.
yeah,
You really want to buy this?"
yeah. Awesome.
And short stories are fun. I enjoy reading them. I enjoy writing them. Um, and they will teach you so much. They'll also teach you how to edit.
Yeah,
Because if you're sort of writing novel length and you sit down, your first short story is 15,000 words, not a lot of markets out there that will take that. So
yeah,
it teaches you to cut and cut and cut and only put in a short story what is important. It teaches you things about how to build an implied backstory and an implied history, like just a couple of details here and there, and the reader can assume a
Hmm.
much richer history and background to the characters and to the world. Whereas in a novel, you might be tempted to give a whole flashback chapter on that.
Yeah,
You don't need to. It's a lot richer. The fewer words is always better.
yeah, 100%. All right, we're gonna play a game now. This is our
Oh,
improv game that may give you ideas for your next books, but depending on how it turns out. But this has been ever so popular with our audience, so we're gonna test your improv coming up with ideas skills. So the
okay.
game is called Story Pitch. There is a setting, a genre, a main character's profession, and a crazy addition. Um, You're going to give us a number between 1 and 12 for each of these, and then we're going to tell you what they are on our secret little graphs, and then you're going to pitch us a story, basically. It can be as in depth or as vague as you want. The first round is the
Okay.
warm-up round, and then the second round is the money one.
There's money?
No,
Okay.
figure of
No,
speech.
no,
It's
no, no.
Australia, it's Australian money, so it's not worth anything. You know?
Much like Canadian dollars.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
that's it.
Um, uh, 11.
11 for setting. Just punch them all out and then we'll tell you what they are.
Oh, okay. Give me 7.
Yep.
Mhm.
Main character's profession. Uh, 9.
9. And what's your crazy?
Number 1.
Number 1.
I'm
Okay.
curious as to what it is.
This is it. We'll have to explain number 1 to you because that's an interest. But your setting is a cul-de-sac.
Okay. And your genre is fantasy,
Okay. Your main character's a birthday clown.
and your crazy addition, which is something or someone that must appear in the story, even if it's just for 5 seconds to say hello, whatever that may be, is someone by the name of Steve. And Jamie will elaborate
Yeah.
on that because it is someone, one of our past guests. We do ask our guests to provide a crazy addition if they want to. And one of our past guests, Tim McKay, provided this.
Yes. So Steve is basically like that, the know-it-all guy, the guy that always tries to give you advice, even though he doesn't know what he's talking about. That kind of attitude.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Wow.
it is a fantasy set on a cul-de-sac. Your main character is a birthday clown, and it's got to involve a guy called Steve who's a know-it-all, essentially.
Okay. So is this? I don't tell the story. I just give
No,
the
just
like
like a synopsis,
the
like you're
pitch.
pitching it to a publisher.
Just a rough outline, like your back cover of
Or
what the book's going to be.
even briefer, if you
Yeah.
want.
Okay. Okay. So need a name for my clown. Um, Birdo, the clown, um, is trying to find the address for the birthday party that he's supposed to be showing up at. He takes what he thinks is the right turn, but finds himself in a dead end. And even stranger, there are 3 colored doors, red, green, and yellow, to his left, in front of him, and to the right. He stands there wondering if one of these is actually the address. He seems to be on the right street. And then from behind him, he heard the voice.
Steve.
Hey, hey, dude, I'm Steve. You're looking for that party, aren't you? Yeah, I am. Well, okay. It's behind one of those doors. It really is. Honest. Well, which one? Steve won't tell him. And Steve then pulls out a gun and says, "You have 5 seconds, Mr. Clown, to pick a door. And if you don't pick one, I'll pick it for you." That's it.
That's
That's all
brilliant.
I got.
You
Yeah,
nailed Steve.
yeah, yeah. I want to see what happens. I want to see what's behind those doors. Yeah, I'm happy to green light that.
Oh
Yep.
shit! Now I got to write it.
Yeah, right now.
Just don't let Steve write it. All right, final round, round 2. This is a different graph, so you can give us the same numbers and it'll have a different result, or you can give us new numbers. It's up to you.
Can I have Steve in it again? I kind of like Steve.
You can.
Okay, now we'll go with different numbers.
Yeah,
I went all odd that time. Let me start with 8.
yeah,
Give me a 4.
yeah.
Mhm.
Give me a 2. And we'll go to the other end as far from Steve as I can get. 12.
Okay. All right. What have we got for setting? We have. Ryan's gonna freak out. It's the Bat Cave.
But your genre is romantasy.
Romantasy.
So romantic fantasy is your genre.
All right.
Oh, this is even going to get better because your main character is a relationship coach.
and your crazy
Okay.
addition, which is someone or something that must appear in the story, are the giant robots from Pacific Rim, the Jaegers or Jaegers, however you say it.
Are they going to fit in the Batcave?
Well, I can.
Well,
We
that's
don't
up to
know.
you, my friend. That's
That's
up to
my
you.
problem.
Not,
Okay.
You're telling the story.
yeah, not to help you at all, but it could be a bat Jaeger.
Okay.
Okay. Wait a minute. Giant robots, Pacific Rim. Okay.
Yeah. So it is a romantasy set in the Batcave. Your main character is a relationship coach, and it's got to have Jaegers.
Okay. Years. I can have other characters as
Yeah,
well,
yeah,
though,
yeah,
right?
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So Steve
Okay.
can turn up if you want, but
Okay. Robots.
it's called a crazy edition for something.
Okay. So the scene opens on the Batcave, dimly lit, flashing instrument panels from Batman's various devices and protection equipment. Batman himself is sitting in front of the panels, his cowl pulled off. He's not looking very happy. Across from him is Bob, a relationship coach who used to be a birthday clown, but decided that that was not going to work out. So Bob says to Batman, he says, "Look, I think I can help you. I think there are some core issues which explain why you can't find that love of your life. I think getting rid of Robin was a good idea. I think that was a good move. Good. I think you can move on from there. Um, this is going to seem a little weird, but have you ever thought of trying non-human relationships?" Batman, I don't know. No, not really. I mean, I know I'm weird. I mean, I dress up and go and beat up people, so I know. I know. Well, okay, says Bob the clown. Sorry, Bob the relationship coach. This is going to seem a little weird, but I want to introduce you to someone. Um, they also go out and beat up people, so you have that in common. I think this might work out. Just give it a chance. All right. Well, I've actually invited them here, so they're just standing over there. I don't see anyone. There's a big foot. That's all I see. Yeah. Okay. So why don't you come over and I'll introduce you? That's all I got.
Yep, I'll pay for that. I'll give you a 10-part Netflix series for that one. Oh, it kind of have to be HBO Max because Batman is DC property owned by Warner Brothers. So okay, I'll give you a HBO Max 10-part series.
Okay, as long as it's not Hulu. I'm pissed off at Hulu right now. So.
Yeah, no, definitely not Hulu. No, we won't go Hulu. I wouldn't do that to you.
Oh, that was
All
great.
right, good. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Well done. We've reached the end of the show. So now we give you the floor. Plug what you would need to plug. Tell our listeners where they can follow you and keep up to date with what you're doing.
Okay, well, I'll start. My website is pretty easy to find. It's Smith Writer, Smith and then Writer, all one word, smithwriter.com. So you can always track down everything about me there. There's links for buying my books from your favorite retailer or from my own store. There's all my social media links. I'd appreciate it if you could, give me a follow on Blue Sky or Facebook or Amazon, whatever. If you want to dive into some of my books and you don't know where to start, either my recent collection, which is called Borderlands with a Z, Tales from the Edges. It's got 15 short stories and it's got a mix of everything fantasy, high fantasy humor, very, very dark horror, science fiction, everything. So it'll give you a good taste of my writing. Or try Chimeroscope, which is my other, I call a full collection. It came out for a decade and a half ago. And if you're not into short stories, that's fine. I'd suggest either you try The Wolf at the End of the World, there will be a sequel, or try The Hollow Boys. And I think you will enjoy either one of them. At least with The Hollow Boys, if you really like it, there's 2 more books.
Excellent. Well, I'll leave all that information down in the show notes, guys. Please check it out. If you want to reach out, thetrueandthefictional@gmail.com. Please check out our sponsors, Rebecca Kearsells, Martin Kearns, our honorary sponsors, Janelle Schiecke and Alexander Robb. All their links are down below. And until next time, keep supporting those indie authors, and we'll catch you on the next episode.